Hello, boys and girls. So today we are going to be talking about America on the home front. And what that refers to is America during World War II here at home on American soil. And so if you will go into slide 10, we will go ahead and get started. And we have four areas of focus, including the economy and how our economy had recovered from the Depression with our entry into World War II, the role of women, African Americans, and Japanese Americans. So you will see that there are several video clips that you're going to watch together as a class in the top right corner that go with each of these four categories. And then on the next slide, you will be finding and explaining a World War II poster that was used by our government to help encourage Americans to do their part. So if you look underneath economy, it says that our economy was doing well with expansion of wartime industries, and that increased employment. All of our factories, including factories here in Bedford County, Virginia, and also factories like Henry Ford's Ford Motor Company and even Hershey chocolate factory stopped producing materials that they had been making that we typically purchase, and they started producing wartime materials. So even Hershey Chocolate Company stopped producing the chocolate that we know and love and started producing a high protein or a high fat, hard as a brick, tack-like chocolate for our soldiers. And Henry Ford stopped producing automobiles and started producing tanks and airplanes. And so every industry was doing their part. So that really helped the growth of our economy and employed people that had once been unemployed during the Depression. So we're going to move out of the Depression era as workers are hired and bring home a paycheck. Consumer goods are going to decline, and rationing will come into play. And rationing is using items sparingly, and we'll hear more about rationing in later on in the lesson. So women are going to do, as I've said on previous days, everything but fight, and they will assume jobs. When the men go off to fight in war, they will take the place of those men and work in the factories, helping to produce all of the equipment and machinery and vehicles for wartime. And those women are called, symbolically called Rosie the Riveter. You can see her in the wartime poster there. And they will perform military duties such as repairing planes and operating radios, but they will not fight on the front lines. Moving on to the role of African Americans, we see in that wartime poster that working on one of the big engines of the plane right here, that this time period in history will temporarily break down racial barriers in our country. But there will still be some discrimination and inequality in salary and pay between and among races. African Americans will serve in segregated military units and also be employed, as you see in the war poster, in wartime industry jobs. The role of Japanese Americans, we will have many Japanese Americans serving in our armed forces, but unfortunately, due to anti-Japanese feelings from the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, more than 100,000 Japanese Americans or those of Japanese descent were forced to relocate from their home by the American government to what was called an internment camp inside the United States. So an internment camp, I for internment and I for inside the United States, were where the Japanese Americans were taken from their homes and placed in guarded areas, usually in the southwest desert area of the United States. You can see in that little image right here at the bottom that it looks like a military barrack, and that's typically the type of environment they would have lived in. And we will hear more about the internment camps from one of the videos, actually 2 videos that you'll watch today. Okay, if you go to the next slide, you will see that your task today is to follow the link and find a World War II poster that you can explain. The directions say that World War II posters were designed by our government to encourage Americans to do their part to help the Allies win the war. You're going to use the following link and choose one World War II poster. You can copy and paste it and resize it to this notebook slide. And then you're going to take some time, just a few minutes, to look at the poster that you've chosen and add 2 or 3 sentences in the response side to describe its purpose. So you'll want to tell what's happening in the poster, what group of people was the poster designed for, and what message was the poster encouraging. So if we click on the link, and I just randomly pick one, see, there's all kinds of posters that would encourage soldiers to enlist and join the military, maybe encourage people to ration and use items sparingly. If I pick this one, it might take a second for it to load. It says, the more women at work, the sooner we win. So they're encouraging women to work outside of their home and to do their part to help win the war. Okay, so you could copy and paste that into your area, resize it, and think about using slide 10, what message your poster is encouraging or sending out to the American people so that they could do their part to help win the war. Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know, and I hope you guys have a great afternoon.